Something sinister is rotting the supply chain from the inside out, and the grocery stores aren't warning you. While the masses fight over distractions, the real crisis is quietly unfolding on the bottom shelves. The wealthy won't feel this first. You will. The affordable staples, the survival foods you rely on to keep your family alive, are vanishing. I've tracked the shipment data, and the silence is deafening. By December 2025, these 20 specific items won't just be expensive. They will be memories. I'm about to reveal the 20 cheapest foods you need to hoard immediately. Pay close attention to item number 10. It's the one disappearance that signals the end of affordable eating forever. The clock is ticking, and the shelves are already emptying. You have been warned. 1. The white gold of the apocalypse, iodized salt. When the fragile veil of society finally tears, the most valuable commodities will not be the green paper in your wallet or the digital numbers in your bank account. It will be the overlooked granular dust that sits forgotten in the back of your cupboard. Iodized salt is the first casualty of ignorance. While the masses panic buy bread and milk, perishables that rot within days, the prepared survivalist understands that salt is the only true currency of a collapsed world. It is the white gold of the apocalypse, a substance that has toppled empires and sparked wars throughout history, and it is about to reclaim its ancient throne. You see, salt is not merely a seasoning to make your bland, post-collapse gruel palatable. It is a biological necessity. Without it, your body cannot retain water, your muscles will spasm uncontrollably, and your nervous system will begin to misfire. In a world without modern medicine, an electrolyte imbalance isn't an inconvenience. It is a death sentence. But the sinister truth goes deeper than biology. Salt is the ultimate preserver of life. When the grid goes dark and the hum of your refrigerator silences forever, the meat you have scavenged will rot within hours unless you possess the means to cure it. Salt is that means. It halts the decay, stopping the invisible microbial armies that seek to consume your food before you can. It turns a fresh kill into a long-term asset, transforming raw flesh into jerky or salt-cured provisions that can last through the harshest winter. Furthermore, its indefinite shelf life makes it a ghost in the pantry. It never ages, never spoils, never loses its potency. You can bury it in the ground and dig it up a century later, and it will still save your life. The economic indicators are already flashing red for those willing to look. Shipping costs for heavy, dense materials are skyrocketing, and mining operations are facing unprecedented logistical bottlenecks. The price of bulk mineral salts is poised to double, perhaps triple, as the global supply chain fractures. When the panic sets in, the shelves will be stripped of salt within the first hour. Those who hold it will be the kings of the new economy, trading ounces of sodium for fuel, ammunition, or loyalty. Do not be the fool begging for a pinch of salt when you could have been the one holding the stockpile. The window to acquire this eternal mineral for pennies is closing rapidly, and once it shuts, it will never open again. 2. The poor man's flesh. Dry lentils. As the economy withers and the shadow of famine lengthens across the land, the illusion of choice will vanish from the grocery aisles. The heavy, water-laden canned goods and the luxury proteins will be the first to disappear, leaving behind a stark reality. Calories are survival, and efficiency is life. Enter the dry lentil, the deceptively humble legume that will become the cornerstone of existence when the lights go out. To the uninitiated, they are nothing but peasant food, cheap filler for the destitute. But to those who see the coming storm, lentils are the poor man's flesh. A dense, terrifyingly efficient source of protein that mimics meat without the blood or the spoilage. In a world where fuel is more precious than gold, lentils are the superior choice because they demand so little from you. Unlike their stubborn cousins, the dried beans that require hours of boiling and precious gas to soften, lentils yield quickly. They surrender to the heat in minutes, saving your propane stockpile for another day of darkness. Nutritionally, They are a powerhouse designed for the desperate. They provide a slow, steady burn of energy, stabilizing blood sugar when anxiety and hunger threaten to overtake your mind. They are packed with iron to keep your blood oxygenated and fiber to keep your digestive system functioning when stress shuts it down. But the true sinister genius of the lentil lies in its storage density. A single mylar bag, vacuum-sealed and deprived of oxygen, can hold enough caloric energy to keep a human alive for weeks. They shrink down, hiding easily in tight spaces, allowing you to stockpile months of food in a single dark corner of a closet. They do not rot. They do not attract attention. They simply wait, dormant and deadly efficient, for the day you need them. However, the global supply is trembling. Major agricultural exporters like India and Canada are quietly shifting their policies, redirecting supplies to feed their own restless populations before shipping abroad. We are staring down the barrel of a 15% price spike, a mere precursor to the total unavailability that follows a true collapse. When the panic hits, the easy-to-store proteins vanish first. The mobs will fight over frozen steaks that will thaw and rot in days, while the wise will have already secured mounds of lentils. They are the silent foundation of a survival diet, the difference between starving with dignity and thriving in the shadows. Do not underestimate them. Secure them now, or prepare to watch your strength wither away along with the supply chain. 3. The ghost fuel, instant rice. Time is a luxury that dies with the old world. In the chaos of a grid-down scenario, where every shadow could hide a threat and every noise spells danger, spending hours tending to a simmering pot is a liability you cannot afford. This is why the ghost fuel, instant rice, becomes a critical asset in your arsenal. Unlike raw grain that demands endless boiling water and fuel, instant rice has already been processed, pre-cooked, and dehydrated. It requires barely a whisper of resources to bring back to life. In a scenario where rolling blackouts are the norm and propane canisters are traded like diamonds, the ability to create a hot, calorie-dense meal with nothing but a cup of heated water is a tactical advantage. It allows you to eat and move, to nourish yourself without drawing attention to your location with the smell of long-cooking food or the light of a sustained fire. The sinister reality of the rice market is one of impending scarcity. Rice feeds half the planet, and when the global food systems begin to seize, nations will hoard their grain silos, banning exports overnight. We have already seen the tremors, a 20% jump in prices, quiet restrictions on specific varieties. Instant rice, with its added processing requirements, will be the first to vanish from the shelves because it offers convenience. And in a crisis, convenience is the first casualty. Those who rely on traditional raw rice will find themselves staring at hard, inedible grains when the gas runs out, while those with instant rice will feast in the dark. Storage is deceptively simple, which is exactly why it is overlooked. A cool, dark pantry keeps it stable for half a decade. Sealed in mylar with oxygen absorbers, it essentially becomes immortal, ready to be resurrected 10 years from now when you are huddled in a bunker. It is the ultimate filler, the blank canvas upon which you can paint a meal with whatever scraps of meat or spices you have scavenged. It extends the life of your other rations, bulking up soups and stews to fill empty bellies and silence crying children. But make no mistake, the cheap prices you see today are a trap. They are lulling you into complacency. The supply lines are thinning, and soon, this ghost fuel will be as rare as the electricity needed to cook it. Stockpile it while it is still considered a convenience item, before it becomes a survival necessity. 4. The stone legume, dried chickpeas. When the veneer of civilization cracks, the soft, easy proteins will be the first to be consumed. The drive-thrus will close, the refrigerated trucks will stop, and the meat counters will run red with spoilage before drying up completely. In this harsh new reality, you need a food source that is as hard and unforgiving as the world outside. You need the stone legume, dried chickpeas. They are the heavyweight champions of the pantry, dense nodules of nutrition that act as a complete survival system. Unlike lighter grains that burn off quickly, leaving you hungry an hour later, the chickpea sits heavy in the gut. It provides a long, slow release of energy, keeping you satiated and focused during days of heavy labor and high stress. It is rich in magnesium and iron, minerals that are vital when the body is pushed to its absolute breaking point. Yes, they are stubborn. They require soaking. They require patience. But this hardness is their armor. It is what allows them to survive for a decade or more in proper storage without degrading. While softer foods turn to dust or mush, the chickpea remains a stone, waiting for you to unlock its potential. In a long-term collapse, where the psychological toll of hunger is just as deadly as the physical one, the versatility of the chickpea is a weapon against despair. They can be ground into flour, mashed into hummus, roasted into crunchy snacks, or stewed into hearty meals that mimic the texture of meat. They offer variety when monotony can lead to food fatigue and hopelessness. But the warning signs are flashing in the agricultural sectors. Weather patterns in key growing regions are becoming erratic, destroying yields and driving prices up by double-digit percentages. As global demand for plant-based protein surges, the humble chickpea is being gentrified, pulled from the survival aisles and placed into expensive health foods. This means the bulk bins are emptying faster than they can be refilled. When the crash comes, the protein sources will be the most fiercely contested items in the store. You do not want to be fighting for the last can of beans. You want to be sitting on a mountain of dried stone legumes, secure in the knowledge that you have secured a decade of protein for pennies on the dollar. Buy them now, seal them away, and let them become the bedrock of your survival. 5. The oily salvation, canned sardines and mackerel. There is a grim reality that few preppers discuss: the body's desperate need for fat. You can hoard all the rice and beans in the world, but without fat, your brain will fog, your joints will ache, and your body will struggle to regulate its temperature in the freezing cold. This is where the oily salvation comes into play. Canned sardines and mackerel are not just food. They are tactical nutrition sealed in a tin coffin. These small, oily fish are harvested from the cold depths and preserved at the peak of their nutritional density. They require absolutely zero preparation. No fire, no water, no cooking. You pull the tab, and you have instant access to high-quality protein, calcium from the soft bones, and essential omega-3 fatty acids that are critical for cognitive function. In a scenario where decision-making determines whether you live or die, keeping your brain sharp is paramount. The sinister beauty of the sardine tin lies in its portability and stealth. It is a single-serving meal that can be consumed in silence, leaving no trace. There is no smell of cooking to waft through the air and attract looters. It is a ghost meal for a ghost world. Furthermore, the shelf life of these tins is legendary. While the label might say 3 years, seasoned survivalists know that oil-packed fish can remain edible for half a decade or longer if kept cool. They improve with age, the oils marinating the fish into a rich, calorie-dense sustenance. But the oceans are emptying, and the supply chains that bring these tins to your shelves are fragile. Overfishing combined with rising fuel costs for fishing fleets creates a perfect storm for scarcity. Analysts are quietly predicting a 20% surge in prices, but the real danger is total unavailability. When fresh meat becomes a distant memory, the masses will turn their ravenous eyes toward the canned meat aisle. The tuna will go first, followed quickly by the sardines and mackerel. You are currently looking at a superfood selling for $1 a tin, a price that is insultingly low given its value in a collapse. Do not wait for the shelves to be bare. Stack these tins high. Rotate them. Guard them. When the world is starving and cold, that oily tin will taste better than any steak you have ever eaten. It is your insurance against the lean times, a small metal vault of life in a dying world. 6. The golden emulsion, peanut butter. When the illusion of prosperity crumbles and the true cost of protein is revealed in empty grocery aisles, a humble spread will ascend to the status of a lifeline. Peanut butter is the golden emulsion of survival, a deceptively simple food that holds the power to sustain you when all else fails. Each jar is a concentrated bomb of calories, healthy fats, and life-giving protein. In a world defined by stress and scarcity, it offers something even rarer: comfort. The familiar, rich taste can provide a psychological anchor in a sea of chaos, a small luxury that feels like a feast. Its greatest tactical advantage is its immediacy. There is no need for fire, water, or electricity. In the dead of a blackout, when the silence is broken only by your own pounding heart, a single spoonful of peanut butter is an instant injection of energy, clarity, and warmth. It demands nothing from you, yet gives you everything your body needs to push through another hour, another day. The true prepper, however, looks beyond the immediate. While jars of creamy or crunchy peanut butter are excellent for short-term crises, their oils will eventually turn rancid, betraying you when you need them most. The real prize is the ghost in the pantry: powdered peanut butter. Stripped of its heavy, unstable oils, it becomes a lightweight, near-immortal substance. Sealed in mylar, it scoffs at the passage of time, capable of lasting a decade or more. It is the long-term solution, a dormant protein source waiting to be reanimated with a splash of water. You can add it to your dwindling stores of oats, mix it into powdered milk for a nutrient-dense shake, or use it to flavor otherwise bland survival bread. It is versatility and longevity fused into one. The whispers of its disappearance are already circulating. Severe droughts are crippling peanut harvests in key agricultural zones, forcing processors to pass on price hikes of 8 to 10%. This is just the beginning. As the economy falters, calorie-dense, shelf-stable foods are always the first to be targeted by hoarders. The comforting presence of peanut butter on store shelves is a mirage, one that will vanish the moment a real panic begins. Do not be the one staring at an empty space where the jars used to be. Secure your immediate supply with several jars, but invest your future in the powdered form. It is a small price to pay for a golden insurance policy against starvation. 7. The sunken hen. Powdered eggs. The cackling of a hen will be a sound as rare as a politician's honesty in the coming collapse. Fresh eggs, those perfect orbs of protein and fat, will become a currency of the elite, a luxury bartered for in secret. The fragility of the supply chain tied to living animals means that the moment the feed trucks stop rolling or a new avian plague sweeps the factory farms, the egg cartons will be empty. This is where the savvy survivalist looks to the sunken hen. Powdered whole eggs. They are the ghost of the barnyard, all the nutritional power of a fresh egg with none of the vulnerabilities. A single, unassuming can holds the potential of 5 or 6 dozen eggs, a treasure trove of protein that requires no refrigeration and fears no expiration date. They ask only for a cool, dark corner to wait for the day you will desperately need them. In a long-term crisis, your body will scream for animal protein, a biological craving that carbohydrates alone cannot satisfy. Powdered eggs answer that call. With a little water, they can be scrambled into a semblance of a normal breakfast, a powerful morale booster when the world outside is anything but normal. They can be baked into dense survival breads, mixed into pancake batter made from stored grains, or used to thicken soups and stews, adding a richness and nutritional heft that would otherwise be impossible. This is not just about staving off hunger. It is about providing your body with the complete amino acid profile needed to repair muscle, maintain focus, and fight off illness when there are no doctors to call. The economic indicators are screaming a warning. Past bird flu outbreaks have caused the price of powdered eggs to surge by an astonishing 30% almost overnight. Another pandemic, natural or engineered, is not a matter of if, but when. It will wipe the supply clean from industrial providers and prepper websites alike. Anything connected to the fragile ecosystem of modern livestock is a ticking time bomb. Do not be caught in the blast. Securing your supply of powdered eggs now, while they are still considered a niche item, is one of the most intelligent investments you can make. When others are fighting over the last spoiled carton, you will be enjoying a hot, protein-rich meal, secure in your foresight. 8. The white dust, shelf-stable and powdered milk. Milk is the first comfort food we ever know, but in a world without electricity, it is one of the first to become a vector of disease. The failure of the power grid will turn the dairy aisle into a ticking time bomb of spoilage and bacteria. This is why the prepared mind turns to the white dust, powdered milk. It is the alchemical essence of dairy, stripped of its perishable water content and rendered almost eternal. When sealed in mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, it enters a state of suspended animation, capable of outlasting you with a shelf life of 20 years or more. It is a long-term nutritional asset of staggering importance, a source of calcium, vitamin D, and protein that will be impossible to find when the dairy farms have collapsed. Its versatility is its hidden strength. In the bleak midwinter of a collapsed society, a cup of hot milk can be a profound psychological comfort. A reminder of a world that once was. It can be mixed into your morning oats, added to coffee substitutes, used to enrich mashed potato flakes, or incorporated into baking to provide a softness and flavor that would otherwise be lost. For medium-term scenarios, UHT shelf-stable milk cartons provide a year of readiness without the need for refrigeration until opened. They are the bridge between the world of now and the world of what is to come. But the global supply is already being siphoned away. The insatiable demand for dairy powder from developing nations, coupled with a 16% rise in global prices last year, is shrinking the available surplus in the West. In a true crisis, dairy alternatives will become more valuable than gold. They represent not just calories, but the ability to provide for children and the elderly, to offer comfort when there is none to be found, and to maintain bone density when medical care is a fantasy. Stockpiling this white dust is not about preparing for a storm. It is about building an ark. Secure it now before the rest of the world wakes up and realizes the flood has already begun. 9. The harvest ember, canned pumpkin and sweet potato. As a crisis deepens, your diet will inevitably narrow to a monotonous rotation of grains and legumes. This is a slow, creeping path to nutritional deficiency and profound food fatigue, a psychological drain that can be as dangerous as any physical threat. The antidote lies in the forgotten corners of the canned goods aisle, in what can only be called the harvest ember. Canned pumpkin and sweet potato are the unsung heroes of the prepper's pantry. Dismissed as seasonal novelties, they are, in reality, dense bricks of life-saving nutrients. Each can is packed with vitamin A, critical for vision and immune function, alongside potassium, fiber, and slow-burning carbohydrates that provide sustained energy without the crash of simple sugars. When the fresh produce section of the grocery store is a barren wasteland of empty, rotting shelves, these cans will be your only source of vegetable matter. They require no cold storage, no careful handling, and no preparation. You can eat them cold, directly from the can, a sweet and nourishing meal that feels like a luxury. Their true power, however, is in their ability to transform and extend your other rations. A spoonful stirred into oatmeal adds flavor and vitamins. A can mixed into pancake or bread batter makes your grain supply stretch further while adding moisture and nutrition. They can thicken a thin soup or be mixed with spices to create a savory mash that fills the belly and warms the soul. The shelf life is extraordinary, easily lasting 3 to 5 years, and often remaining perfectly safe and edible long past the printed date. But the window to acquire them cheaply is closing. Unpredictable weather patterns are devastating crops in primary growing regions, and prices are already creeping up by 10 to 15%. As the informed public begins to understand the value of shelf-stable produce, these cans will be among the first to be swept from the shelves. They are the stored sunlight of a past harvest, an ember of warmth and health you can carry into the darkness. Do not neglect them. A case of canned pumpkin is a case of insurance against scurvy and despair. 10. The golden grit, cornmeal. In the grim calculus of a post-collapse economy, the ultimate challenge is not just finding calories, but stretching them into meals that feel like more than mere sustenance. This is the domain of the golden grit, cornmeal. For less than $2 a pound, you are not just buying a grain. You are buying a culinary toolkit for a world without options. Cornmeal is the great extender, the foundational element that can be transformed into a startling variety of foods to fight off the crushing monotony of a survival diet. With just a few other basic ingredients from your stockpile, it can become hearty cornbread, fluffy dumplings for a thin stew, savory fried cakes, or a simple warming porridge to start a brutal day. This versatility is a weapon against food fatigue, a critical element in maintaining long-term morale for you and your family. It is a dense source of calories, providing the slow-burning carbohydrates your body needs to fuel hard labor or withstand the cold. It offers essential minerals that become increasingly scarce when a balanced diet is a distant memory. The shelf life is robust, lasting well over a year in its original packaging. But when sealed away from its enemies, light, air, and moisture in mylar, cornmeal becomes a long-term asset, waiting patiently for up to 5 years. It is the perfect companion to your other preps, pairing seamlessly with powdered milk, powdered eggs, and canned meats to create complete, satisfying meals from the sparest of ingredients. The global corn market is already showing signs of extreme stress, with prices spiking 14% due to supply chain disruptions and biofuel demands. Corn is a foundational commodity, and as the supply of other grains like wheat becomes uncertain, the world will pivot to corn, causing a run on all corn-based products. Cornmeal, being one of the most basic and affordable, will be stripped from the shelves with terrifying speed. Do not be the person left with nothing when the panic buyers descend. Acquire your supply of this golden grit now. Seal it for the long winter ahead, and grant yourself the power to create, to comfort, and to survive. 11. The pale mush of morale, instant mashed potatoes. When the machinery of civilization grinds to a rusted halt, the first casualty is often the human spirit. You can survive on raw beans and scavenged greens for a time, but the psychological toll of a cold, hard existence eventually breaks even the strongest minds. This is where the pale mush of morale, instant mashed potatoes, becomes a weapon against despair. In the grim reality of a collapsing economy, you will be exhausted. Your body will ache from manual labor you aren't used to, and your mind will be frayed by the constant gnawing stress of survival. In those dark moments, you will not have the energy to hunt, skin, or cultivate. You will barely have the will to boil water. Instant potatoes ask almost nothing of you. They are the food of the weary. They require minimal fuel, a resource that will soon be worth more than blood. And they demand no culinary skill. A splash of hot water turns dry flakes into a steaming bowl of comfort that mimics the meals of a lost era. This comfort is deceptive in its simplicity, but vital in its effect. When the world outside is chaotic and hostile, a warm bowl of mashed potatoes hits an emotional trigger, reminding you of safety, of home, of a time before the fall. It is calorie-dense, easy to digest when stress has knotted your stomach, and acts as the perfect carrier for whatever scraps of protein or fat you have managed to secure. Whether it's a crumble of dried meat, a spoonful of precious oil, or a dusting of powdered cheese, the potato base turns survival rations into a meal that feels restorative. And unlike the heavy sacks of raw tubers that rot in the damp, these flakes are immortal. Sealed in mylar with oxygen absorbers, they will wait for you for a decade, unchanged by the decay of the world around them. Even in their original flimsy packaging, they offer years of security. However, the Earth itself is turning against this staple. Climate volatility in the major potato-growing regions of the United States has decimated yields, and the soil is yielding fewer and smaller tubers. Prices are creeping upward, a slow suffocation of supply that the average shopper ignores. But you must not ignore it. When the supply chains finally snap, comfort foods are the first to be hoarded by the panic-stricken masses. The shelves will be stripped bare in hours. Secure your supply of this pale salvation now, before the price becomes something you can no longer pay. 12. The wheat vertebrae. Pasta. In the skeletal remains of the economy, families will face a terrifying question. How do we stop the crying? Hunger is a sharp pain, but the sound of hungry children is a torture that drives parents to madness. Pasta is the answer to that silence. It is the wheat vertebrae, the backbone of the survival pantry that holds everything else together. It is cheap today, suspiciously cheap, often selling for pennies on the dollar compared to its caloric value. But do not be fooled by the price tag. Pasta is a dense, energy-rich fuel that delivers hundreds of calories per cup, providing the sustained energy needed to scavenge, build, and defend what is yours. In a world where every calorie counts, pasta offers one of the highest returns on investment available to the modern prepper. Its value lies in its familiarity. In a high-stress collapse scenario, presenting a bowl of strange, unrecognized gruel to a traumatized family can break morale. Pasta is familiar. It is the food of childhood, of normalcy. It cooks quickly, preserving your dwindling fuel reserves, and it requires no refrigeration. It is the ultimate blank canvas, accepting whatever meager toppings you have available. Canned tomatoes, sardines, foraged greens, or simple oil and garlic, and transforming them into a feast. Properly stored in airtight containers, dry pasta is nearly eternal, lasting 5 to 10 years without losing its nutritional potency. It waits in the dark, ready to serve when the fresh food is a distant memory. But the winds of scarcity are blowing across the wheat fields of the world. Global prices for durum wheat, the hard, golden grain essential for pasta, have spiked violently due to catastrophic droughts in Canada and Europe. The manufacturers are absorbing the costs for now, keeping the illusion of stability alive, but the dam is about to break. That 99-cent box is destined to become a luxury item, its price climbing as the grain silos empty. The sticker shock is coming, and it will be brutal. Do not wait until you are fighting a mob for a single box of spaghetti. Stockpile 20, 30, 50 pounds now. Build your backbone of carbohydrates while the world is still sleeping, because when they wake up hungry, it will be too late. 13. The eternal grain. Hard red wheat berries. If you are preparing for a storm, you buy bread. If you are preparing for the end of the world as we know it, you buy the eternal grain. Hard red wheat berries are not merely food, they are a legacy. When the grocery stores have been looted and the distribution centers are burning, the people who survive will not be the ones with the most canned soup. It will be those who hold the raw building blocks of life. Wheat berries are the dormant seed of civilization. Unlike flour, which is a dying product that turns rancid and bitter within months, the whole wheat berry is a living entity. Encased in its natural bran armor, it protects its nutrients from the ravages of time. Sealed in mylar buckets, these berries will last for 30 years. They will outlive your pets, your car, and perhaps even you. This is the long game. In a crisis that stretches into years, you need versatility, not just calories. With a simple manual grinder, these berries transform into fresh, nutrient-dense flour for bread that tastes of life and earth. But their utility does not end there. Cooked whole, they become a chewy, hearty porridge that fills the belly and fuels the muscles. Sprouted with a little water, they burst into life, providing fresh greens and vital vitamins when the very concept of a salad has been forgotten. At mere pennies per pound, they are the single most efficient investment for long-term survival. They are independence in a bucket, freeing you from the reliance on a food system that is destined to fail. The shadows are lengthening over the wheat belts of America. Droughts in Kansas and Oklahoma are drying up the rivers of grain that feed the world, and exports are tightening. The United States is quietly shifting its focus inward, and domestic demand for shelf-stable grains is beginning to simmer. We have seen the empty bread aisles before, ghosts of supply chain hiccups past. The next shortage will not be a hiccup, it will be a seizure. Bread shortages are not fiction. They are history waiting to repeat itself. Secure a bulk supply of wheat berries and the means to grind them. When the rest of the world is starving because their flour has turned to dust, you will be baking the bread of the new world. 14. The Trojan snack, popcorn kernels. There is a secret hiding in the snack aisle, a survival superfood disguised as a trivial treat. Most people walk past popcorn kernels without a second glance, seeing only a movie night indulgence. The wise prepper sees the Trojan snack, a stealth carbohydrate that holds a dual purpose hidden in plain sight. This is not about entertainment. It is about survival psychology and hidden utility. Popcorn kernels are, genetically, a hard flint corn. This means they are incredibly durable. Stored in a cool, dry place, they last for half a decade. Sealed in mylar with oxygen absorbers, they become practically immortal, capable of sitting on your shelf for 20 or 30 years without degrading. And the price? Insultingly low. For just over $1 a pound, you are buying a resource that could save your sanity. In the depths of a crisis, when the days bleed together in a gray haze of fear and boredom, morale is as critical as water. A handful of kernels, popped in a pot with a little scavenged fat, provides a hot, crunchy, salty sensory experience that breaks the monotony of survival gruel. It is a small spark of joy in a dark world. But the sinister genius of popcorn lies in its second use, the one the masses don't know about. If you possess a sturdy hand mill, these hard kernels can be ground into a coarse, flavorful cornmeal. When the store-bought cornmeal is gone and the cornfields are fallow, your snack stockpile becomes a source of polenta, cornbread, and porridge. It is a hidden calorie reserve that no one will think to loot because they do not understand its value. But the agricultural markets are trembling. Corn is a global commodity used for fuel, feed, and food. As demand spikes and yields falter under erratic weather patterns, the price of all corn products will rise. When the staple cornmeal vanishes, the popcorn will be next. It stores smaller than almost any other grain, packs a massive caloric punch for its size, and offers a diversity of use that is unmatched. Do not treat this as a novelty. It is a tactical grain. Add 50 pounds to your inventory. Let the neighbors think you are foolish for hoarding snacks. You will be the one eating warm cornbread while they chew on despair. 15. The horseman's fuel, rolled oats. When the apocalypse arrives, it will not be glamorous. It will be cold, damp, and hungry. In this bleak new reality, you need a food that is as rugged and uncomplaining as you must become. You need the horseman's fuel, rolled oats. Oats are the peasant's secret weapon, the fuel of armies and laborers throughout history for a reason. They are dense, filling, and slow-burning. A bowl of oats sits heavy in the stomach, stabilizing your blood sugar and preventing the crash that comes from cheap, sugary carbs. They keep you warm from the inside out, fueling the body for hours of heavy lifting, patrolling, or shivering in the cold. At less than $1 a pound, they are perhaps the most cost-effective insurance policy against starvation you can buy. Their true power, however, is revealed when the lights go out and the gas lines run dry. Most grains demand fire, boiling water, long cook times, precious fuel. Oats are different. They are humble. In an extreme survival situation, rolled oats can be eaten raw or soaked in cold water overnight to become edible. This cold soak capability means you can sustain yourself without lighting a fire that might reveal your position to raiders. You save fuel, you save time, and you stay hidden. They are also the ultimate mixer, accepting anything you have. Powdered milk, a spoon of peanut butter, a dash of cinnamon, or even savory fats, to create a complete nutritional profile. Stored properly in mylar, they will last for a decade or more, a gray mountain of endurance waiting in your pantry. But history has a dark warning for us. During the food shortages of the World Wars and the Great Depression, oats were often the first grain to disappear. Why? Because even the desperate understand their value. They are the last line of defense against hunger. When the panic buying starts, the sacks of oats will vanish into the basements of those who know what is coming. Don't wait for the shelves to empty to realize how essential they are. Buy them in bulk now. Fill your buckets. Secure the fuel that will keep you marching when the rest of the world has fallen by the wayside. 16. The salted serpent, ramen noodles. In the quiet before the storm, ramen noodles are a joke, a symbol of broke college students and late-night desperation. But when the economic system seizes and the lights flicker out for the last time, these humble, dehydrated bricks of wheat become the salted serpent, a psychological weapon masquerading as a meal. At a price that is almost insulting, you are buying more than just food. You are buying speed, comfort, and control. In a world defined by uncertainty, the ability to create a hot, salty, and profoundly familiar meal in under 3 minutes is a power that cannot be overstated. It requires a whisper of fuel and a puddle of water, resources that will soon be guarded with lethal force. When your hands are shaking from cold and your mind is numb from stress, the simple act of preparing and consuming a bowl of ramen can be the one thing that holds you together. But the true, sinister value is not in the noodles themselves. It is in the tiny, foil-lined seasoning packets. These are not just flavor enhancers. They are survival gold. A single packet of powdered MSG, salt, and dehydrated spices can transform a cup of bland, flavorless rice into a savory soup. It can make boiled beans palatable day after day. It can turn plain pasta into a dish that doesn't feel like a punishment. When your appetite is deadened by fear and monotony, these flavor bombs will force you to eat, to keep your strength up when your will is failing. They are the key to fighting food fatigue, a silent killer in any long-term survival scenario. The global supply chains that deliver these serpents to your door are already fraying. Rising wheat prices, driven by geopolitical instability and crop failures, are a death knell for cheap, processed grains. The manufacturers will absorb the cost for a while, maintaining the illusion of affordability. But soon the price will jump. Then, as the first real food panic sets in, ramen will be one of the first things to vanish from the shelves. Its lightweight, compact nature and universal appeal make it a perfect barter item and a target for hoarders. Do not be the one begging for a flavor packet. Stockpile cases of ramen now while it is still considered trash food. It is your cheapest insurance against a bland and hopeless future. 17. The black treacle of life, sugar and molasses. When the world devolves into a primitive struggle for calories, the modern disdain for sugar will be remembered as a decadent folly of a bygone era. In the grim new reality, sugar and molasses become the black treacle of life, a substance as vital as salt and as precious as ammunition. Sugar is not about satisfying a sweet tooth. It is about raw, unadulterated energy. When you are exhausted from chopping wood, hauling water, or standing watch through a freezing night, a single spoonful of sugar is an instant injection of fuel to your muscles and your brain. It is the emergency restart button for a body on the brink of collapse. Its true power, however, is in its ability to halt the march of time. Sugar is a master preserver. Without it, you cannot create the jams, jellies, and syrups that turn a fleeting summer harvest into a year-round food source. It is the key to locking away the bounty of the land before it rots. Molasses is the darker, more potent twin of sugar. It is not just empty calories. It is a nutritional powerhouse. The thick black syrup is rich in iron, magnesium, calcium, and potassium. Minerals that your body will be screaming for when your diet consists of little more than stored grains. In a world without multivitamins, molasses is medicine. It staves off anemia, prevents muscle cramps, and provides the micronutrients necessary for your nervous system to function under duress. A single jug of molasses is a compact treasure chest of vitality that will become more valuable than any pharmaceutical. Both of these substances have a near-eternal shelf life. White sugar, kept dry, will outlast civilization itself. Molasses sealed in its jug remains potent for years, its flavor only deepening with age. But the global sugar trade is a fragile ecosystem. Production is tightening, and prices are already on an upward creep. In a full-blown collapse, these items will not just be expensive, they will be gone. They are sources of comfort, energy, and preservation, and the desperate masses will strip them from the shelves in the first wave of panic. Secure your supply now. A few bags of sugar and a gallon of molasses are not pantry items. They are strategic assets for the dark age to come. 18. The umami dust, bouillon cubes, and powdered broth. The human spirit can endure hardship, cold, and fear, but it can be broken by something as simple as blandness. The slow, grinding despair of eating the same tasteless mush day after day is a form of psychological warfare. This is where the true power of the umami dust is revealed. Bouillon cubes and powdered broth are the most overlooked and undervalued items in the entire prepper's arsenal. These tiny, foil-wrapped cubes and unassuming powders are concentrated flavor bombs, capable of resurrecting a dead meal and, with it, a dying morale. They are the ghosts of chickens, beef, and vegetables, ready to be reanimated in a pot of boiling water. A single cube can transform plain rice into a savory soup, give depth to a stew of foraged weeds, or create a rich gravy to pour over hardtack. Their value extends beyond mere taste. In a crisis, you will be sweating, working, and losing vital electrolytes. The high salt content of bouillon is not a liability. It is a feature. It replenishes the sodium your body loses, preventing the debilitating effects of dehydration and heat exhaustion. When you are drinking questionable water, boiling it into a savory broth not only makes it safer, but also makes it more hydrating. These flavor packets are incredibly lightweight, compact, and boast a shelf life of a decade or more when kept dry. For the cost of a few dollars, you are securing hundreds of servings of flavor and comfort, an almost laughable return on investment. Yet, they are always the first to disappear. During every minor supply chain scare, every hurricane warning, the bouillon section is wiped clean. The masses may not understand the strategic importance of morale, but they instinctively reach for sources of comfort and flavor. The manufacturers of these products are subject to the wild price swings of the global commodity markets for salt, dehydrated vegetables, and protein extracts. The price is already unstable. Do not wait for the next panic. Hoard these flavor bombs now. A deep pantry full of bouillon is a sign of a truly prepared mind, one that understands that you don't just have to survive the apocalypse, you have to endure it. 19. The caloric slick. Vegetable oil and lard. In the cold equations of survival, fat is life. You can stockpile mountains of rice and beans, but without fat, you are fighting a losing battle against starvation. Your body will burn through carbohydrates and protein, but it is fat that provides the dense, long-term energy needed to stay warm, to think clearly, and to perform strenuous labor. Oil and lard are the caloric slick, the most concentrated form of energy you can store. A single tablespoon of oil contains more than 120 calories, a staggering density that makes it an indispensable survival asset. It is the difference between a thin, watery gruel and a hearty, satisfying meal. It allows you to fry, to bake, and to add a richness to your food that not only improves its taste, but dramatically increases its ability to sustain you. The choice of fat is a strategic one. Standard vegetable oils are a good start, but their shelf life is a mere 12 to 18 months before they turn rancid and unusable. The true survivalist looks to the more stable fats. Lard, the rendered fat of a pig, is a time-tested survival food that can last for years when properly stored. Coconut oil, a solid at room temperature, is another long-lasting champion, resistant to oxidation and spoilage. These fats are not just for cooking. They can be used to season cast iron, to lubricate tools, to make primitive candles, or even to soothe chapped skin. Their utility is immense. The global supply of cooking oil is already under extreme duress. Droughts in soybean-producing regions, combined with skyrocketing fuel costs for harvesting and transportation, have sent prices soaring. In a real collapse, cooking oil will be one of the first commodities to vanish entirely. Everyone needs it for daily cooking, yet almost no one has more than a single bottle in their pantry. It will be looted, hoarded, and bartered for exorbitant prices. To be caught without a deep supply of fat is to consign yourself to a low-energy, flavorless existence that will quickly drain your physical and mental reserves. Secure your caloric slick now. Buy it in the largest containers you can find. Store it in a cool, dark place, and guard it like the liquid gold it will soon become. 20. The mother of all preps, apple cider vinegar. When the complex systems of the modern world finally shatter, you will need tools, not just supplies. You will need items that serve multiple purposes, that solve problems you haven't even anticipated yet. There is one such liquid that stands above the rest, a humble acidic fluid that is, in fact, the mother of all preps. Apple cider vinegar is not a food item. It is a one-bottle survival kit. Its applications are so numerous and so critical that its absence in a long-term crisis would be catastrophic. It is a master of preservation, allowing you to pickle and preserve vegetables from a garden or a fortunate scavenge, turning a perishable bounty into a long-term food source. Its acidity creates an inhospitable environment for the bacteria that cause spoilage, making it an essential tool for food security. But its power extends far beyond the kitchen. In a world without reliable sanitation, ACV is a potent cleaner. It can be used to sanitize water containers, clean surfaces, and even as a primitive antiseptic for minor cuts and wounds when the pharmacies have been looted bare. A diluted solution can soothe a sore throat, deter biting insects, or be used to create a homemade electrolyte drink with a bit of salt and sugar to combat dehydration. It is a digestive aid, helping your gut process the strange and monotonous diet of a collapsed world. It has a virtually indefinite shelf life, requiring no refrigeration and only growing stronger and more acidic over time. It is the Swiss Army knife of liquids. The price of this miracle fluid is currently a joke, a few dollars for a bottle of immense utility. This will not last. As with all multi-purpose survival items, its value will be recognized too late by the unprepared masses. During previous health scares and supply panics, it was one of the first alternative items to be swept from the shelves. People instinctively understand its worth, even if they can't articulate all of its uses. Do not be among the latecomers. Stockpile it now. Put a bottle in your kitchen, a bottle in your medical kit, and another in your bug-out bag. You are not just buying vinegar. You are buying a dozen different solutions to the deadly problems of a world without rules.